Razavani for IFL TV, proudly sponsored by Everlast. Delighted to have with me on Zoom today, all the way from Las Vegas, my man, Caleb Plant, Sweet Hands, the undefeated super middleweight champion. How are we doing, Caleb?
Doing good, man. Appreciate you having me.
No, always a pleasure. Good to catch up again. I know it's been a few months since I last spoke to you. How are things with training? How's Larry keeping you busy on the tracks?
Yeah, everything's going well. I'm in the boxing gym. Me and Coach Wade are, making sure we're on the weights and the conditioning and everything else that needs to be done. This is what I do this stuff year round. Whether I have a fight coming up or not. So it's really just another day in the books for us.
I know you fought earlier in the year, and it looks like the plan is. I know your intentions are made very clear. Canelo's intentions are made very clear about September. But did you feel like you wanted to get out again April, May if you had the opportunity, or were you like don't want to take the risk of getting any sort of injury?
Um, it wasn't really so much that; it was more so the hand injury that I already had. Coming out of my last fight and rushing it back before it was fully healed, and possibly re-injuring it in a fight in around the time period that you said, and then having to then being ruled out of the Canelo fight completely because if my hand was injured, then we just didn't want to put ourselves in a position like that. Usually I fight every 6 months or so, usually twice a year. So, it's around the same time frame as I usually would have been regardless, but a little bit longer, but I had to let that hand heal up. So
I know when we spoke last time, it was kind of we touched on Billy Joe Saunders's chances versus Canelo. That fight has now passed. Obviously, I know you must have tuned in and watched that fight. Um, was that the result you expected a Canelo win?
to be honest, if Billy would have went out there and boxed him up and won, I wouldn't have been surprised. And if Billy went out there and got knocked out in the first round, I wouldn't have been surprised. So, there were a lot of a lot of things that could happen in that fight. But I felt like Billy was won the first round. Canelo didn't do too much, and Canelo started to take over. But I had it 5-3 by the end of it. So towards the end, Billy started to settle in and kind of dictate what was happening, and started finding some success. But he ran into a big shot, and that was all she wrote. So
I know, I know. As the fans of the sport, don't want to see 12 rounds. Fans want to see people get knocked out, and unfortunately, some fans want people to see carried out on stretchers. We saw Billy have a really bad eye injury. Obviously, he was looks like he was struggling to keep his right eye open, which is his lead eye. Do you think people were too harsh on him too soon, not knowing the exact contents of the injury?
yeah, I mean, but it's easy for people to do that when they don't really know what they're talking about. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not gonna call him a quitter. He had to quit, but I don't know if I'd call him a quitter, especially if it was a situation where he wanted to continue on, but his corner wanted to pull it. That's between them and his team. Only they know what's up. But as far as people who've never laced up a pair of boxing gloves and calling someone a quitter who got their orbital bone broke when they've never had probably a broken bone in their body, much less their face broke. You don't know what that feels like. So. Um, but I feel like people were kind of giving him shit because he was maybe gave some harsh comments on a fighter, Daniel
Dubois.
Dubois. Yeah, saying that type of stuff, and then when it was time for him to hold himself to the same standard, he wasn't able to do that. So people giving him shit about that. That's probably fair. But as far as calling him a quitter or something like that, you know, they probably never even been in a fight. You feel me? So it's like,
No, absolutely. What did you make of like the fight week itself? There's a lot of uproar about the ring size. They wanted a bigger ring. Do you feel like that was just mind games, or does it actually make a difference when you're a fighter that moves a lot, whether it's a 20-inch or 20 foot, sorry, or a 24 foot?
I mean, I don't know what he was trying to do. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know all the ins and outs of their relationship with Eddie, or what was promised and then what was delivered, and what they went back and said, no, this is what you said and this ain't it. But if that's something that they agreed upon, people should stick to their words. You know what I'm saying? So I don't really know. I don't know all the ins and outs of that, but it seems like they got it fixed and they were able to get on with the job. So That's what's most important.
I know you posted off the fight and you wrote something along the lines of, "You can't break a poor man's chin." What did you kind of mean by that?
Um, just some people, their spirit's broken before they even got in there with Canelo. I'm not sure about Billy Joe, but I know for a fact that there's been Yildirim being one of them. Before Yildirim and some of these other guys, even get in the ring, their spirit's already been broken, and you can't break my spirit. You know what I'm saying? And because there's been a lot of things much tougher than any boxing match that could have broke my spirit, and yet I'm still here. So if those things can't break a poor boy's chin, then I know you can't break a poor boy's chin. And that's what I'm sticking to. That's what I truly believe in my heart. So
Champ, we know sometimes when we're trying to have these big fights and we get rival networks and politics get involved. Obviously, Canelo being a free agent, you align with Al and that side of the boxing world. Um, do you foresee any issues? I know Eddie's turned around and said he's in Vegas next week for the Devin Haney-Linares fight. He's in a meet up with obviously your manager Lewis as well to discuss this fight. Do you see any issues that could occur that could prevent this fight from happening?
I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I can't say that for sure. I'm not going to try and make a promise that I don't know all the ins and outs because this will be the biggest fight of my career to date. You know what I'm saying? And being in a mega fight, there's a lot of things that go on other than me just wanting to fight and him just wanting to fight. There's a lot of things that go on. There's networks. There's tons of things, even things that are out of fighters' control. Um, but it's so easy from the outside when people don't know about those things to be like, oh, well, he's scared or he's ducking or, you know what I'm saying? So um, he wants to become undisputed and I want to become undisputed. And there's only one way to make that happen. And that's for us to get in there and duke it out. And I got a great team. There is nobody better than Al Heyman at their job. And there's no better manager than Luis de Cubas. So I know he's got a great team around him as well. But, I'm sure we'll be able to get it figured out.
Did you see Leonard Ellerbee's comments this week?
I seen one thing on Leonard, but I'm not sure what.
He feels like you're the favorite to beat Canelo, and he also said, well, Floyd will be more than happy to give you some advice and tips on how to beat Canelo.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's good stuff. I mean, me and Floyd, we've been around each other a handful of times. He's always been really cool to me and my wife Jordan. Giving her interviews and always been welcoming when we come up in the gym. We've even had some a little shit talking exchange back and forth. But it's all been really good. He's always been welcoming to me. So, you know, um, I'd definitely be ready for any tips and anything you had to tell me. I'm a student of the game. I got a lot of respect for this sport, and I've studied this sport inside and out. And Floyd's got a lot of great experience, and it's always been good times around him.
Champ, I know you're not afraid to get into the ring with anybody. You're a fighter. You've been through bigger battles outside of the ring. Canelo's fought practically every star you can think of: punchers, movers, people with quick hands, quick feet, etc. What do you possess? Do you think that can cause him problems?
Well, he does have a lot of experience. He's like 56-1, but he's also got 2 draws. And when it comes to him fighting Mayweather, when it comes to him fighting Lara, when it comes to him fighting Triple G, he's really 1-3 in those fights. He lost to Floyd, he lost to Lara, and he definitely lost the first Triple G fight. And those first 40 fights of his, or 30 fights, where was he fighting those at? In Mexico? We send people down to Mexico to get wins for people who can't get wins here. When he was in his first 30 fights, I was fighting better competition in the amateurs on Team USA and winning the Golden Glove Nationals and being in the Olympic trials and becoming an Olympic alternate. I was facing better competition than him when he had, 20 fights, 30 fights. So, he does have a lot of experience at those bigger fights, but, not all those fights mean that he's got better experience than me as far as like all 56 fights. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense what I'm trying to say?
No, no, absolutely, absolutely. But
And so, you know, I possess a lot of the same skill set and IQ that Lara and Floyd have, except I'm a lot bigger than them. I'm a full-fledged 168 pounder. I won the Golden Glove Nationals at 178 pounds. So, I'm a lot bigger than those guys that gave him a lot of trouble.
but your goal and your intention is definitely Canelo is the one you want in September.
Yeah, I mean, that's the fight that we want. You know, I've said that, and multiple times he said that as well. So, you know, again, our teams are going to sit down here real soon and see about getting that worked out.
Where does your good friend David Benavidez fit in? I saw some comments of him calling you a pussy, calling you, telling everybody that Canelo's gonna knock you out.
Mm.
Surely that fight's still a big fight in the near future.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you know, that's easy to talk about, but he did get dropped by Ronald Graville. Did he not? Well, he's been dropped by Ronald Graville, and Jose Uzcategui couldn't even drop me. You know what I'm saying? Matter of fact, I dropped Jose Uzcategui twice. So, you know, it's easy to talk about, you know, him saying that he deserves that fight. You know, it's easy to talk about and use words when it comes to what we deserve. But what we deserve is granted to us by our actions, not our words. And so for him to say that he deserves that fight, I'm sure that he would be in the runnings for that fight. But he lost his world title to cocaine, and then he got it handed back to him, and then he lost it again on the scale. So, you know, when you talk about what you deserve, again, those aren't blessed through what you say; those are blessed through your actions. And thus far, his actions haven't lived up to what he claims that he can be or what he is. And you know, when we were trying to make that fight happen, his manager, his promoter, Samson, was saying, no, we need to wait. We don't need to make that fight happen. There needs to be more money involved. And we're like, okay. And then he loses his belt. And then he loses his belt. And then all of a sudden, you know, I'm a pussy or I'm this and that. But when he talks about me being a pussy, when I busted his brother, Jose Benavidez Jr. in the face in the boxing gym, because he was trying to walk up on me and my coach, and I finally busted him in his face, you know what David did? Stood there like a big fat pussy. So if somebody hit my brother in the face, if somebody hits your brother in the face, what are you doing? I know what I'm doing. Well, I know what he did. He just stood there and looked at me with his dick in his hand. So, you know, it's easy to talk about, you know, who's a pussy and who's this. But when it was time to be a man and for him to make that weight, when it started to get hard, did he make the weight like a man or did he bow out? He bowed out. When it was time to be a world champion and live up to what you say you are, did he handle his business like a man, or was he, you know what I'm saying? So it's easy, you know. Those are just words, you know what I'm saying? I live out what I do by my actions. So
No,
that's all I got to
absolutely.
say about
I
that.
know. I know. We've spoken about becoming undisputed champion. Tomorrow night, Las Vegas. There's another set of fighters attempting to become undisputed champion. Ramirez and Josh Taylor. Obviously, it's a huge fight. Both have obviously all the belts. Got prediction for that fight?
Yeah, I got Josh Taylor winning that fight. You know, I just feel like that he's too mean and too sharp and too fast for Jose Ramirez. So that's who I got.
I'll end on this. Caleb, what would you do if someone come up to you and took your hat off your head and then tried to run away?
Mm-hmm. Somebody's done something like that similar before. Honestly, when I was in school, I had my hat and somebody snatched out of my hand. I had it holding out the bus window. Somebody snatched out of my hand, and I told my dad about it, and we figured out who it was, and he drove me over to his house, and we got our hat back, to say the least. So, and you know, but Floyd, you know what I'm saying? I don't think he was expecting that. He's not really used to shit like that, so I think it pissed him off. But you know, he's gonna get his get back.
No, absolutely, absolutely. But is it good? Is it good to see someone like Floyd? Obviously, people are criticizing for fighting someone like Logan Paul, and being a YouTuber. But kind of as a fighter, Floyd 50 has literally fought everybody that he could have fought in his prime.
He's fought more world champions than anybody else, and he's retired. He's retired. He's not a fighter. He's always going to be a fighter at heart, but these are just entertainment. He's just having fun. He's just living his life, and he's making money in the process. And anybody else in his position would hope and wish that they could, but because that they can't, they're gonna try to find something negative about it. And you know, I wish Floyd the best of luck. Like I said, he's always been real respectful and cool to me, and he should keep riding this thing out until him and his team feel like that it's no longer a good idea. And that's really all there is to it.
No, absolutely, champ. I really appreciate you giving me a little bit of your time. Wish you all the best with training. Hopefully, we'll have some news in the coming weeks about a potential fight with Canelo, and I'm sure we'll catch up again in due course.
Yeah, sounds good, man.
Caleb Plant, IFL TV. Thank you very much.